in mortgage protection, probably close to $1 million in just MP. And now we've got the company to support it that I really think is going to go. So I see Mike on here. Mike, no further ado, my good buddy, Mike, why don't you tell us about Kansas City Life, why you think it's the best company for us, and why don't you just take the wheel?
So Kansas City Life is such a great company. We're very agent friendly. If you haven't written us yet, when you do, you have full access to underwriters. We do have a special extension set up for your team. It's extension. So issue ages, minimum issue age is age 18 on this product. On the 10-year, the max age is 70, and age is always last birthday. On the 15-year, max is 65. On the 20-year, max is 60. And on the 30-year, max age is 50. Now, this product is renewable up to age 95. Minimum face amount is 50,000. For maximum face amount, issue age is 18 through 65. The max right now is 300,000. But here's the great news. Starting next week, July 7th, that moves to 400,000. So that's going to reflect on the new application. Right now, it's only going to be the 300,000 until next week. We're going to make a big announcement, big email blast for this, but max is 400,000. So we're very excited about that. Now, issue age is 66 through 70. The max is 150,000 for the death benefit. Now, risk class, standard non-tobacco, standard tobacco are your choices. And the rates are sex distinct, meaning females are always less expensive than the males. So your female clients will get a price break. Now let's talk about deadline for conversion. Uh, Conversion is available after policy year two. After policy year two, you are able to convert this to a permanent whole life policy. That policy goes up to age 120 years old. Here's the best part. It's guaranteed to issue over. Even if your client had a terrible illness, it wouldn't make a difference. They don't get penalized. It's part of this program. We convert it automatically over. And here's the other best part for the agent is we'll pay you again. So once you convert it, we'll pay you again on this. And this is through the lesser policy year 12 or anniversary age 65. Now in the 10-year, it's still convertible after policy year 2. Now it's through the lesser of year 10 and age 65. Now next, premium guarantee and duration. The premium is fully guaranteed for the length of the term, so it's never going to increase on the client. Next, riders. Now for the riders, I'm going to do a deep dive on each one of these just in the next few slides, but let me go over the abbreviations first. So ADBs are accidental death benefit. CTI is child term insurance. IAO is income assured option. And WP is a waiver premium for disability. And again, I'll do a deep dive just in a moment. Now, other benefits, these are no cost to your client. They're automatically built in. We have accelerated death benefit for chronic condition, critical illness, terminal illness, waiver premium for unemployment, and waiver premium for residential damage. And I'll do a deep dive just in a moment and next few slides. Next, signature term express return of premium. Now, our return of premium is not a rider. You're not looking to check a box or anything like that. It's its own product. Okay. And I'm going to explain why our return of premium is the best in the open market. This is where we shine. So we have a 20-year, 25, and 30-year return of premium. Issue ages for standard non-tobacco is 20 through 55. Tobacco is 20 through 50, and it's age last birthday for the 20-year and 25. For the 30-year, issue ages are 20 through 50, and again, age last birthday. Now, the rest of the product mirrors the non-ROP identically. Okay. Now, for the return of premium, and in a little bit, I'm going to show you on the illustration, but I want to talk about the return of premium, the functions of it. So our return of premium is built on a whole life chassis build, meaning it builds cash value. So as the cash value is building up in the policy, the client can number one, borrow against it. Okay, they run into a jam, they need some money, they can definitely borrow it. Second option the client has at the end of the term, they get 100% return of premium. So what they put in is what they get back. Now, here's the exciting part. We prorate that down to year 5 of the policy. So if your client wants out at year 5, they can surrender the policy and get a partial return of premium already. As you know, a lot of companies on a 30-year, if they stop your client prior to year 25, they get nothing back. They have to be in it minimally 25 years before they start getting a partial return or longer. We don't do that. We'll start that policy year 5. So if a client wants out, they can start it there or anywhere all the way up to the end of the term. Next option. The client has a choice of getting a reduced paid up whole life. So at the end of the term, if instead of taking the 100% return of premium, they can elect this option. So at the end, what we'll do is we're going to reduce paid up whole life policy. That policy will go up to age 95 years old, okay, building cash value. But here's the best part. The cash value built up in the policy, we're going to dump it into the whole life policy. And remember this, they stop paying premium. So think about that. They're done paying premium at the end of the term, no more payments. We give them a reduced paid up whole life to age 95, and we start them off with cash value already that they can borrow on immediately. So let me give you some numbers. So let's say the death benefit is 300,000. At the end of the term, let's say the reduced paid up whole life is 190,000 now death benefit. And let's say there's $90,000 of cash value. That 90,000, we're going to dump into that whole life and they can start borrowing immediately on it. So now they have 160,000 or 190,000 death benefit. They have 90,000 of cash value and they keep that policy at age 95 without paying any premium. We're the only company on the market that does that, who can dump that cash value in and start that client off with perfect cash value. Now, think about it, a whole life index universal, that client's still paying on it for the life of that policy. With this, they're done paying at the end of the term, and now they get a permanent policy to age 95. Now, the next option, we have what's called extended term insurance. So it's basically abbreviation, it's ETI, so extended term insurance, and it sounds just like its name, right? You're extending the term. So at the end of the term, client stops paying premium. We let them keep the original death benefit for a calculated number of years. So if you started the policy at 300,000, at the end of the term, they stop paying premium client. They choose this option. We'll let them keep that 300,000 they started with originally for maybe 18 years and 300 days, and then it's over. Here's the valuable part about this. Let's say that your client maybe lost their job and it's 8 months in and they still can't get a job yet. Well, usually the first thing to go are insurance policies because they can't pay for them anymore. With this program, they don't have to worry about that. They can elect the extended term insurance. They can elect the reduced paid up whole life, or, maybe borrow against the cash value. There's so many amazing options with this plan, and it just ensures your client's financial security. You never have to lose their plan. And I love that about this program. Now, just in a little bit, I'm going to show you an illustration so you can actually see these numbers. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the underwriting. So how do we underwrite this? It's simplified issue. We're not pulling credit. There's no phone reviews with this. It's jet issue. Now, the way we're going to underwrite this is we're going to look at the bill chart. Okay, so make sure you do have a bill chart that's in the agent sales guide, and I'll show you a little bit later how to get that. But we're going to look at the height and weight to underwrite this. We're going to pull a MIB, a Medical Information Bureau report, and we're going to do a pharmaceutical pull. Now, motor vehicle report, it's going to be a mandatory pull from ages 18 through 45. For the return of premium, issue ages 20 through 45. Now, if your client is age 46 through 70, it's only going to be pulled as needed. So if there's a hit on the MIB report, then we'll pull it. Other than that, we're probably not going to pull it. For the return of premium, as needed for ages 46 through 55. Now, if your client is age 61 through 70, we just do a risk score. There's no phone review or anything like that. We'll do a risk score to evaluate the client. Okay. Now, as Darren was saying earlier, this is a mortgage product, so you have to have a mortgage for this product. Now, if the client would have had to purchase a new mortgage or refinance, took a home equity line in the past 2 years. Now, that is changing next week. On the new application, it's going to reflect a 5-year look back. So as long as your client's taken a new mortgage, refinance, home equity line in the past 5 years, you're great with this product. For right now, if you're writing this week, what you're going to do is mark yes to this question in the past 2 years. You're going to scroll down to the comment section. And in there, you're just going to put down client took a new mortgage, refinanced in the past 5 years. Okay, so just let the underwriter know if that's what they've done. Other than that, next week we'll reflect this. Next, diabetics. We do accept diabetics, onset age 50 and older. Starting next week, though, we're going to move that down. So the new onset will be age 45 and older. Okay. We don't take insulin diabetics. One thing we will take, though, is diabetics who smoke. A lot of simplified issue products don't offer that. It's a decline. With us, it's acceptable. So diabetic smokers, we will take. Also, diabetics with complications like neuropathy. We know how bad neuropathy is. That is a knockout with this product.
Right.
Now, visas.
That is what he just said was right. Most carriers, if you're diabetic and smokers, those two hand in hand will be a decline. So good for you guys, Mike.
Absolutely. It's a great thing. We do get a lot of clients that are diabetic smokers, so you'll get that through no problem.
Go.
Okay, so let's talk about visas, permanent residency visas. We do accept H-1B or L-1 visas. And your client must be residing in the United States minimally 1 year, and then we'll take them. Okay, let's talk about the height and weight chart. As you can see, this is very lenient. So track down with someone 5'7", minimum weight is 109 pounds, maximum weight is 264 pounds, so pretty lenient to get into this. What I want you to do is take a look at the last column. The last column is used for diabetics with multiple health impairments. As you can see, the weight tightens up a little bit, so it's 5'7", the max is 242. But only use that last column for a diabetic with multiple health impairments. If you just have a plain old diabetic with no multiple health impairments, use the max weight of 264. Okay, let's get into provisions next. These are no cost to your client. And let's go through these. So, chronic condition. What's going to trigger the chronic condition for your client? It's where your client requires assistance with two of the six activities of daily living. That's going to trigger up to 80% of the death benefit coverage. So, we'll accelerate that out to the client. Now, here's the best part. Once we do an acceleration of the death benefit, so let's take an example. Let's say it's 100,000 death benefit. Let's say the client qualifies for 80%. We send them 80,000 in this example. There's 20% remaining or 20,000, right? Now, let's say your client was paying $200 a month for the program. We're going to reduce the premium down to match that last 20%. We're one of the few companies that ever do that. So your client in this example, they might be paying now only $60 a month versus 200. So we'll always prorate the premium down to match remaining death benefit. Then later on, if the client passes away, that last 20% is paid out. Next, critical illness. What are the triggers for critical illness? Heart attack, cancer, kidney failure, major organ failure, or stroke. That'll trigger up to 80% of the death benefit coverage. Now, for terminal illness, if a client's life expectancy is 12 months or less, that'll trigger up to 80% as well. Next, residential damage waiver. This is a great benefit. Most companies don't have this. So if your client sustains 25,000 or more damage to their home, could be a hurricane damage, flood, fire, we will waive the policy premiums for 6 months. They won't have to pay their policy. It'll stay in force so they're well protected. They can concentrate on other stuff instead of paying their policy. Next, unemployment waiver premium. If your client loses their job, we're going to waive the policy premiums again for 6 months. They won't have to worry about paying it and lose their policy because they can't pay for it. So 5 amazing benefits that just add so much sizzle to the plan when you're out there pitching it to the clients. Clients love these living benefits, especially with the return of premium. How do they go wrong? They're protected, they won't have to die. They got all these great benefits. People get sick all the time, and they can utilize their policy. They don't have to wait just to utilize it when someone passes away.
Guys, I'm gonna chime in real quick. So these riders are incredible. Just the fact that they have like you can sell just the chronic, the critical, and the terminal. We know about those and the value of those, right? Because it's not just life insurance, it's living insurance, and that you could sell a ton of insurance just off of that alone. But these two riders that he just threw in, no, if anyone offer them, they're charging you. The unemployment waiver premium is typically a fee by other carriers. So you're paying for that. They're giving it to you. Nobody, I haven't seen anybody offer the residential damage waiver premium. That's something very unique to Kansas City Life, and that's those two reasons right there, on top of the other ones, are the reasons we got Mike on here today. I love it, Mike. Thanks.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into the riders now. Now, the riders are so inexpensive to add on. So you can just make a such great policy for a client. So let's go through these. So we got the accidental death benefit. Issue ages are 18 through 60. For the return of premium, issue ages are 20 through 55. Now, the max you can offer is 200,000 of additional accidental death.
Right.
Okay, again, really inexpensive. Child term insurance. Issue ages are 14 days to 17 years old. It's one low premium covers as many children as your client has.
Wow.
Now, with the child term insurance, we work in units. So on the software, you're going to see units. One unit is $1,000. The max you can go up to is 20 units or 20,000. So for example, if you chose 20 units, that means each child in that family is covered for $20,000 if they pass away. Now, if let's say you have a family of four, each one's covered for 20,000, and let's say they have another kid later on. Well, once that child turns 14 days old, they automatically get put into the child term policy. So they're covered for 20,000. So as many children as they have after the policy, each child can be put into it automatically. And
Do you
there's
know
no
what those
additional
rates are
premium.
off the top of your head? Um,
I'm sorry, say it one more time, Darren.
do you
I
know
missed
what
it.
the rates are on top of your head for the children's riders?
I don't, but I know it's dirt cheap.
Yes.
So inexpensive, Dad.
It's crazy cheap. And to think that you can get that for all your kids, guys, if you're not throwing that in on every policy, it's kind of crazy, right? To know that you can get those. So, okay.
Absolutely. Now, once a child reaches age 25, they can convert it to a permanent whole life policy. It's a guaranteed issue over. Doesn't matter if the child develops an illness, it wouldn't make a difference. It's automatically guaranteed to issue over. And will allow it to go to a maximum up the death benefit to $50,000. So just a great, valuable tool, and it's a great pitch for your client. Okay, income assured option. Now, this one here is no cost to your client. This is a great benefit. Traditionally, most death benefits are paid out in lump sum, but let's say you have a young family who has maybe an 18-year-old or 19-year-old child, and they don't trust them with the death benefit of 300,000 if they passed away. Your client can elect the income assured option, and the owner of that policy can actually dictate when they pass away how much lump sum will give to the beneficiary, and then the rest of that money is paid out over a period of time, maybe every month for X amount of years. Could be $2,000 a month, 1,000 a month, whatever they want to set up for their beneficiary, of course. So it could be used for childs, even spouses. You always hear those stories where, the beneficiary just blew the money in Vegas or whatever they did with it, and it wasn't done responsibly with that money. So that owner of the policy can dictate exactly how they want this to be paid out. And again, this is free of charge.
Right.
Just a nice, nice benefit. Okay, next we got the waiver premium for disability. Issue ages 18 through 55. For the return of premium, issue ages are 20 through 55. Now, the waiver of premium for disability, if your client becomes totally disabled, we will waive the policy premiums for this policy for as long as they're disabled. So if the client's disabled for 25 years, it's going to be waived for 25 years. And they have all the benefits included still. So again, very inexpensive to add all these riders on, and it just makes such a great pitch when you're out there. Because the more things you have to pitch, the better, right? Okay. Last but not least on this product, drug knockouts. So these are heavy duty medications. So we're talking like lithium, very strong. Okay. So if you see your client taking one of these, you're gonna have to pivot to a different product. Okay. Now, one thing I want to also mention is the underwriting on this. So it's a simplified issue. It moves very quick. Um, we're a little bit different than other companies. Okay. We actually have underwriters that put their eyes on this. So a lot of times, you're right with other companies, they score it. If your client gets knocked out, they're out. There's nothing that can be done. With this, if something gets declined for some reason, we have an underwriter put their eyes on it, and if they can overturn it, they're going to. So they want to give every benefit to the agent and the client to get that policy through. So that's also where we shine as well because we do see turnovers because when they do scores, that there's no going back once you score with a lot of the companies. It's decline, it's decline. We'll actually see if we can overrule that and actually go ahead and give the benefit out to you and the client. Okay.
Mike, in that scenario, what does the process look like for the agent? Is there a form that so they come back declined because of a specific medication? We simply submit a form saying we would like you to look at it closer. How does that look?
So you can submit an email. There's no special form for it, but just submit an email, put a text into me. We'll go to the underwriter. But
Okay.
typically they're taking a second look as it is. So if it comes back, and here's the best part, you're gonna get an email notification with this product. So when your client signs off, you're gonna get an email. When it's approved, you're gonna get an email. When it's declined. Now on that decline, it's gonna state on there why they're declined.
Yeah.
They had three bypasses and cancer 6 years ago. That's why I was declined. So it's going to tell you. And if something is different, then you come to us and then we'll definitely take a look. And if we can overturn it, we'll overturn it.
And
Okay.
I'm going to chime in there. So many times, different carriers, you have to dig deep and to even find out why the decline was. And that's really helpful when you can find out right off the bat why they're declining. And for no other reason, just let the client know, right? But because sometimes they just don't know when it's aggravating. So I love that. Good.
Right. Also, when you get that declination that via when we send it via email, it's going to state on there what you can pivot to. So maybe you couldn't get through on the simplified issue product, but it would say something like, well, you could go table B
Yeah.
and get it done on our other products. So we're going to let you know, and you can always call into the 8535 extension and find out what product that can be pivoted to if you like. But it's going to tell you what you can pivot to on that email. Okay.
Good. Nice.
Okay, so let me get out of this. Let me get back into this. Okay, couple of things I want to mention before I show you an illustration, because I want to show you that return of premium, because that is exactly where we shine, and we beat the competitions hand down with the return of premium. So the agent sales guide, I want to show you where to get that. If you go to ikclife.com, and at the top you're going to see sales tools. Scroll down to product portfolio. Once you click on that, you're going to see this screen. Click on under product information, simplified issue. Then you're going to click on underwriting requirements. That will pull up the agent sales guide. Okay. Everything I went through with you will be in there. Okay. One other thing I wanted to show you, our e-application is so simplistic. You don't click next to get to the next screen. It's actually a scroll down. All you're gonna do is answer questions, scroll down, get to the signatures. It's that simple. It's the easiest application on the open market. We also have text signature, email signature, or in person. So you have three different ways to sign. Everything we try to make as user-friendly as possible. But if you haven't written our application yet, you're gonna love it. And the signing process is so simplistic. Now, under e-application resources, we have YouTube videos. So we have one for the Signature Term Express, okay? And then we have another e-application for all our other products, for our non-simplified issue products. So you can watch both. We give you little tips in there, little shortcuts, how to collapse the toolbar so it just moves even faster. So definitely check out the videos if you have not done an application with us yet. Okay, let's get into an illustration. So at the top, when you're in the website, go to Illustrate, Illustration Systems. That's going to load up for us. Okay. So this is the screen you're going to see in the illustration software. Now, if you have a big computer, it's going to look a little different. It's going to be more spaced out. If you're using a mobile device, laptop, it's going to look like this. Okay. Now, to the left here, you're going to see two arrows. If you use a mobile device, click that. That's going to pull out a menu. So you can have an e-application you can start from here. You can save a case. So when you do a quote, you can save the case here. And when you save it, you can view it in your past view cases. You can copy a case. So let's say you're doing two different applications on the client. Okay, same person. You can copy the case and then put it to your next application. So let's say you're doing a simplified issue. You can copy that case and then start a non-simplified issue product. You can start a new case from here. The cases you saved, again, under view past cases, you can view every quote you did and our application dashboard. So once you send out your application to your client, if you go to your application dashboard, you'll be able to view, did the client sign? So if they have a red exclamation point, that means they haven't signed yet. If it's a green checkbox, they signed. If you need to, maybe you messed up the email address from your application dashboard, you can delete it out, re-enter the new email address that you messed up, and get it out to the client for signature. So a lot you can do from your application dashboard with this. Okay, so let me get out of this. What I want to do is show you this illustration. So we're going to do a little mock-up here. So under products, simplified issue should be defaulted. If not, press simplified issue. Under products, we're going to go the signature term express return a premium 30. For issue state, let me just put Missouri for us. Okay. Now, when you're doing a quote, you do not have to put in the client's name, address, or date of birth. Okay. But when you're ready to do the e-application, you'll have to plug that information in before you click e-application. Otherwise, this won't let you. It's going to come up in red. All right. So anything red, you just can't move forward. So once you plug in name, address, date of birth, click e-application, you're ready to go once you get your quote. Now, for our purposes, we don't have to plug that in. So let's take a 45-year-old. Let's go male, non-tobacco. I want to show you this. Under riders, we have the chronic condition, critical terminal. They're already checked. That means in this state, they automatically have that. And again, residential damage waiver, unemployment, it's in this state. The only state it's really not in, like the critical illness, is California. California is very strict with things, so critical illness is not available in California. But every other state pretty much has all five benefits. Now, under riders, if you forgot what the child term insurance is, click it. And it's going to tell you exactly what it does. When you want to uncheck that, click it again. If you want to add it, do the checkbox. Okay. So let's plug in a death benefit. Let's plug in 250,000. Okay. Billing mode. We have four options. We're going to choose monthly in this case. Billing type, PAC, that is your monthly bank draft. Now we're going to toggle for premium. Click the little button. Now it's going to come up with our premium. So at that point, we have two options. We're going under output. We can download an illustration. Okay. If we click the blue bar, and then this way, you can save it, send it out to your client if you like. Also, you have a quick view. Now for quick view, let me click this for us. It's going to generate the values, which I want you to see. So it's a pull from the bottom up. Now you notice at the top, we have the cash value. We got paid up insurance, and we have the extended term insurance. So let's take a look at the cash value. We're going to go down to 30 years. At the end of 30 years, your client can surrender the policy, they're done, and get a 100% return of premium. So they'll get a check back for $104,625, and they're done. Now, let's say in year 20 they want out. Well, if they could surrender the policy in year 20, and we'll give them a check back for 43,942.50, and they're out. Now, remember, your client can borrow against this cash value as well. In year 16, they want to borrow money, they can borrow the 24,065. Okay, so it's a lot of options. And let's look down to year 5. This is the first time they can actually get a partial return of premium. So if they surrender the policy in year 5, they'll get a partial return of premium starting 5, and then all the way it starts building up till the end is 100%. Okay, now the next one, paid up insurance column. let's go down to 30 years on this. So if the client chooses not to take the 100% return of premium, what we're going to do, and if they elect obviously the paid up insurance, we'll give them a death benefit of 160,095. And remember, they're done paying premiums. They pay no longer. Here's the best part. That 104,625, we're going to dump in to start the cash value off with. So now this client has a new death benefit of 160,500 death benefit, cash value they can borrow immediately of $104,625, and they keep that to age 95, and again, paying no more premiums. They're done paying. Remember, other policies like whole lives, index universal, they're paying on it for the life of that policy, basically. Here they're done. It's paid up. Now, we prorate that down to year five. Year five is the first time they can do that reduced paid up as well. Okay. Obviously, they've been in the policy long enough, so the death benefit will be lower and the cash value is lower. So let's take a look at year 12. Let's say the client ran into a situation, they lost their job, something bad happened, they can't pay the premium anymore. So if they wanted to, they could do the reduced paid up. We'll give them a whole life for 25,500 death benefit. The $9,940 we dump into this, and they can start borrowing on that money immediately. And they're done paying premiums. Okay, extended term insurance. So let's go down to 30 years. At the end of 30 years, instead of doing the other options, if they choose the ETI, they're going to stop paying premium. And in return, we'll let them keep the original death benefit. Now, remember, the original one in this example was 250,000. So they keep that 250,000 death benefit for 13 years and 34 days, and they're done. And remember, they're not paying any more premiums. They're done paying. Now, again, let's say they ran into trouble, year 21. Okay, they could stop paying premium, elect the ETI, and they'll keep the original death benefit, that 250,000 for 14 years and 175 days, and it's over. But think about the pitch for that. You're talking to your client, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, something happens down the road. Here's security for you. You never have to lose your policy when you do the return of premium because you have these amazing options. You can take money, you could surrender. Heck, in year 21, they could surrender the policy and get a check back for 49,697 if they lost their job, let's say. There's so much they can do with this policy. That's where we shine with this. So with Kansas City, this product, it is the ultimate product on the open market. Okay, so that's what I want to show you on this. A couple other features I want to show you on different products. So let me go back to sales tools. Give me one second here. We're going back to products, non-simplified issue. This is our new product called the Essential Guard. Now, it is fully underwritten. However, on our non-simplified issue products, we can go accelerated underwriting where you can avoid the medical exam. Okay. So this product starts minimally at 250,000. So if you want to do accelerated underwriting, here are the rules. For issue ages 18 through 49, the max is $1 million. So as long as your client can qualify standard or better risk class, they're in. Okay. Now, if your client's age 50 through 59, the max is 500,000. And remember, your client just has to be standard or better risk class. So standard, standard select, preferred, preferred plus, and they fly right through. So we're seeing with this product, I mean, usually anywhere from 2 hours to probably maybe 12 hours, it's approved. It is so simplistic. Now, this product, why would you use it? One, maybe they don't have a mortgage. Or two, maybe you need a $2 million policy. You can utilize this. Heck, we're entertaining a $50 million policy as long as it's financially justified. Now, just remember, the acceleration is up to $1 million for ages 18 to 49. But if your client wanted $3 million, you could still do it, but you just have to do a blood and urine. Now, it's free of charge to your client. Nurse goes to their house. Okay. We set that up at home office. You won't have to do any of that. Just do the application. We take care of the rest. Okay. So that's our new product. And this product, by the way, is the cheapest term on the open market for preferred and standard select clients. This will beat all your competition almost all the time. It's going to fight for number one and two in preferred plus, and standard select range. Okay. Next product I want to go through is we have another return of premium. It's called the Cashback Life. So again, if someone doesn't have a mortgage, you could pivot to this product. You need a $5 million return of premium product. This is your product. So it works the same way as our simplified issue return of premium. Okay. Uh, doesn't have all the living benefits, of course, as a mortgage product. It does have a 90% for nursing home confinement acceleration of the death benefit. It also has a terminal illness. But again, if you want to write a $50 million return of premium, this is your product.
What what
Also,
was the name of this product, Mike?
this one is called the Cashback Life
Like,
series. Yep.
okay,
So we have a 20-year and a 30-year on this product. Now, the 20-year does go up to age 60. So if you have someone a little bit older who wants to return a premium, you can utilize this product as well. And again, it can go accelerated underwriting. So all are non-simplified. You could do accelerated underwriting. Just remember standard or better risk class. And ages 18 through 49 is up to $1 million. And then age 50 through 59 is 500,000. Okay. Now, when you're doing your application, because it is a different application than a simplified issue, right before you get to the health questions, it's going to ask, do you want to go accelerate underwriting? Just check that yes. Now, if let's say your client got kicked out of accelerate underwriting, we automatically set up a blood and urine, have a nurse contact your client, and they go out to their home free of charge. The client does not get charged. Okay. But again, a wonderful product if you can't write the simplified issue. Okay. Next, let's go over universal life. We do have a fixed universal life called the Premier Protection. This is a great product for the senior market. So again, we're not going to take the walking dead on this product. It's not made for sick individuals like a final expense type product.
right.
It's going to take a healthier clientele. But if you can get your client on this product, it will beat any final expense price on the open market. You'll probably beat it anywhere from $15 to $30 per month. So either you can save the client money with this product or offer them more coverage. Now, here's a tip for you. On any of our permanent policies, if you keep the death benefit at $45,000 or less, it's not non-medical. You don't have to worry about doing medical exams or have to go accelerate underwriting. So it's non-medical, 45,000 or less. If you go over 45,000, you would have to either go accelerated underwriting or you would have to set up a medical exam. But if you want a universal life and you want to write a client a $500,000 policy, you can do that with this product. Just remember, either accelerate underwriting or blood and urine, one or the other. Now,
So
this
Mike,
builds. Mhm.
we got a lot of agents that do final expense. Every once in a while, when they come across a client that's in perfect health, just wanting to cover final expense, is this the product that they would want it? So if we want, we can go up to 45,000 fully underwritten or not non simplified issue. Is it instant approval or is it just how long does it take to find out if you get approval on this?
So if they're healthy, I mean, it could go
Yeah.
through within usually about 1 to 2 days if they're
Okay.
healthy. Now, if they had a health condition, let's say, maybe they had 3 stents, maybe 4 years ago.
Right.
We're going to try for electronic medical record, which we can get a lot of times, but sometimes doctors do old school where
Right.
they have to mail it. That can hold it up maybe an additional 1 to 2 weeks. But we try to get those as quickly as possible. So we'll still take individuals and it's day one coverage. So, we're not going to go graded or anything like that. It's a day one coverage. Even if they had maybe bypassed it, we had to get a medical record, it's still day one coverage. It might be a few bucks more because maybe they had the stints versus not having the stints. So it could be a little bit more expensive, but still, usually you're going to beat out typically most FE products out there.
So
Okay.
my scenario I gave would be simply if we have a healthy client that hadn't had the stents and they're good health, maybe just on a high blood pressure or some type of medication that would be very easily underwritten. You're going to save money on this universal life as opposed to putting them in a final expense product. So, I think there's value behind it. So go ahead.
Agreed. And the cash value right now is building at 4.5%. So you're building a really great cash value with this product. and it has living benefits. So you have an 80% for chronic conditions and an 80% acceleration for terminal illness. So those any of our permanent policies will automatically have those living benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would definitely want to touch on that. The next one, we do have indexed. So we have two products called the Compass Lead is the first one. Let me pull this up. This is a great product. Now, you can also do juveniles on this product. So, you're gonna come across, families that, maybe they want to set up a college fund for their child. College is crazy expensive. This is a great product for this because you can do juveniles. Age 0 to 17 is considered juvenile for us. No medical exams. You don't have to worry about accelerated underwriting. So what we typically do with these type of policies is we keep a minimum death benefit and try to overfund the policy before it max. So this way it's concentrated on cash value. So that child, when they reach, college years, they can have a great chunk of it paid off, or maybe even all of it, just depending where they go to college, right? So some colleges are crazy, others are a little less expensive, but they'll have money to utilize, maybe for living expenses, for paying the tuition, all of that. So it's just a great tool to utilize, and you come across so many families, especially when you do mortgage protection, that you could write this on. Grandparents like to get it for their grandchildren, so it could be used that way as well. Now, with our Index Universal, I want to show you something. This is pretty cool. I'm just going to pull this up. So we have four index accounts with this policy. A lot of times you'll see certain IULs, they only have account A or account B. We actually have account C and account E. This is an amazing index universal life. It builds amazing cash value. Account A is a cap of 9%. Account B is a participation rate of 50%. Account C is a high cap of 12%. And account E is a cap 11.5% with a multiplier of 50%. So let me show you this. So as you can tell, it's color coded. Take a look at the color key. Blue is best, green is second best, yellow is third best, and fourth is orange, which is fourth best. Take a look. When you're doing your percentages with this product, we had our IUL expert go through this and determine which accounts are the best to make the most cash for your client. So if you notice, account E is best, right? So what he would recommend is putting 40% in account E when you're doing this, about another 30% in account C, if you know is second best, a lot of green here, B nothing, and account A the other 30%. So this way, the client has the best chance of building the best cash value. So we do have this on our website. But Index Universal, this product is amazing. Okay, let me get back in here. Okay. Again, this does have living benefits, 80% chronic illness and 80% terminal.
Nice.
Okay. Um, let's go through the whole life next. Gift of Life, this is a very inexpensive policy for children. Very, very, very inexpensive. There's also another one I want to show you. They could be used. The Value Certain 20. This is a cool product. This is a 20 pay whole life. Client pays for 20 years. They're done paying after 20 years, and the client can keep the whole life policy to age 120 years old. They're done paying after 20 years. This is great for family with children, for a children policy, grandchildren policies. Grandparents are always looking for policies to protect their grandchildren with. This is a great policy. So the grandparent or parent would pay for 20 years, done paying. That child keys it up to age 120 years old, and they have to worry about paying this ever again. Minimum face amount is 10,000. And remember, follows the guidelines for anybody. Because again, if you want to do $1 million policy your whole life, you can do it. It follows accelerated guidelines. And if they don't, if they want more than 1 million, just set up a blood and urine, and we'll do that for you. But from 10,000 to 45,000, remember, it's non-medical. For children, you don't have to worry about any of that. But a great policy. And again, you're going to come across clients always with children, grandchildren. This is your product. It's a great product for them. Okay, let's see here. And remember, the Value Assurance 20 does have living benefits, 80% chronic, 80% terminal illness. And remember, this is a true whole life. It's not a final expense whole life. So it builds real cash value. Right now, again, about 4.5% building. So when you play with the software, you'll see when you run the illustration, the cash value looks really amazing with this.
This is a 20-year pay, right? What
20
the
pay.
so a lot
Yep,
of times you'll run into this. Sometimes people say, "Well, I don't want to pay for insurance for forever, like whole life." So you can go to a 20 pay on this right here.
that's
We
right.
got a few carriers offer that, but good.
And remember with this, the value assured 20, and we also have our value assured, which mirrors of the 20 pay value assured. However, it's not just for 20 years. So the client would pay the rest of their up to age 100. Okay, it doesn't stop after 20. They pay to age 100. Once the client turns 100 years old, they're done paying, but they can keep it to age 120. So again, builds really great cash value. And again, it's not graded, it's not a final expense whole life, it's a true whole life policy. Day one coverage always, even if the client qualifies a little bit higher in premium, still day one coverage. And again, our underwriting is very relaxed, and you'll notice that. Um, all right, I think that's it I can think of for the this policy and the rest of them. Let me open up for questions.
I do see a couple in the chat. And so I kind of blanket cover this. Do you guys, there's a couple carriers that when you add a child to the policy, they don't do underwriting. If we were to add a child to the policy, is there underwriting?
A little bit. Yeah, there is. So if you're doing like the child term, if they have some real bad health condition, it could be not allowed into that. So yes, we do a little bit of underwriting. If you're doing like the value assured 20, yes, there is a little bit of underwriting. But typically most children are getting through no problem. If they have maybe Down syndrome, it's possible they might not go through. They might have to look into a little bit more. So yes, it could be knocked out, that child, but typically 99% of children make it through.
We've got this question multiple times in there. What about autistic children?
Yeah, autistic probably would be knocked out,
Okay. Thank you for that.
of course.
Couple other questions that I'm seeing here. First of all, I don't know when, Gail, this question was asked, but the question was, what if they live past 95? I guess this was when 95 was kind of the limit. What happens when they live past 95?
So I assume this is on the reduced paid up whole life and that whole life going to age 95. Once that hits 95, it endows. So that money actually goes to the client because they made it to age 95. So it endows.
Okay. Okay. Very good. And then the next question is the maximum age qualification for the premier protection.
So the last age to get into is age 85.
Okay. Perfect. And then from Jason, how long to receive the death benefit when someone passes away? How does the process work?
Process is super simple. Client or the agent calls in, says person passed away, they make a claim. It is fast. One thing about our claim department, if you were to call it, they pick up the phone in like 30 seconds. It's amazing. And they're all over this. So they know clients need money quick. So they're going to do their due diligence and it is fast. I mean, I've never seen anything like it before in my life. But you can even test that line. Call it up. They pick up in like 30 seconds. You'll be amazed. So it is quick. And sometimes, it could take an extra few days sometimes, but I see it happen. I've seen people get their money within a few days, a week. It is fast. So that's one thing we
That
do pride
is
ourselves on.
music to my ears, music to my ears. I've been spent the last 24 hours calling carrier trying to find a company that did that paid faster and quicker. Um, Let me ask you this. So do they still have to wait on a death certificate, or is there a way around that if we can get documentation sent to the carrier other than?
If you can get documentation sent, that should be no problem.
Hmm. Cut. That's that's what I needed to hear.
Another
Scott.
another question is living benefits. What is the process with living benefits?
So it's simple. Either the client calls in to make a claim or the agent calls in for them. They'll send something to the client, they'll fill it out, and then we do our due diligence and make sure that it is a true claim, and then we pay it. No questions. Really simple.
Okay.
That's one thing about Kansas City Life. You know, they want to pay out this stuff for clients. They want clients protected. So, and their word is their bond, right? So when they make that claim, as long as it's legit, they're sending that money. And they're just going to quickly verify it as fast as possible.
Okay, great. How about another question? Is Kansas City Life ever going to get a true final expense product, or is this kind of where you guys see yourself playing?
You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of talk about that. We're not sure yet. There is a lot of talk going on. So stay tuned. Let's put it that way.
Uh-huh. All right. Teresa.
Hi, good morning. You had mentioned that the living benefits weren't available in California for the mortgage protection, but are they available for the other products or are they on hold as well?
Well, it depends. California is a very tough state to get things approved. The critical illness is not approved. I believe in California, I believe on the simplified issue, you got the terminal illness, and I almost want to say it's the unemployment still available on there. When you do the software, it's going to tell you exactly what is available. So if you pick your state of California, whatever product you picked, you'll see in under rider section, what's already checked is what it has automatically built in. So you'll always know that anytime, depending what state you go to. But yeah, California is always a tough state. Especially for like a critical illness out there for a product, very tough to get through.
All right, any other questions? Anyone will look at that. All right. We are right down to the end of this, so perfect timing. Perfect timing. Darren, I'll turn it over to you, buddy.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Mike, why don't you just get rid of the screen share and I will close this thing out. I want to thank Mike for being on this call with us, guys. One thing I like about Kansas City Life is the availability. So they're not so big like some of these big major carriers that you call into customer service and you don't know who you're going to be talking to and they don't know what you're talking about. Like the customer relationship that we have with Kansas City Life is probably my number one go-to. Like I know that if I have a question, I can reach out to Mike and he's getting back with me usually within 20, 30 minutes, working on it. We're working on now trying to get some people contracted and no fault of Kansas City Life. It's on the other side of getting those contracts in, and he's been working with me. And Mike, if you can, that one that we talked about yesterday, we got about two or three agents that we're trying to rush through. Let's see if we can get something knocked out on that today. But guys, it's important to have those relationships built, and I appreciate that with Kansas City Life. Any other questions before we go on and turn Mike loose? No? You guys, anybody want to just comment real quick?
I will say one thing. I've worked with Kansas City Life, and it's really nice when you have the carrier. Every single thing that he said, call our underwriting team, ask them the questions. I've done all of that, and he's absolutely right. I'm not sitting on hold for even 5 minutes, and I'm
Sure.
able to speak with an actual underwriter and say, "Hey, here's the situation. What do we need to do?" And
Yeah.
so, I wasn't able to get it overturned, but they're fighting with you as well,
Yeah.
actually get actively get this approved. And so it was very nice hearing that. I wanted to make sure everyone knew what he's saying. I've experienced personally firsthand multiple times.
So this call was recorded and it's going to be put later on this afternoon. You'll find it on our YouTube channel. So you can go back there, rewatch it. If you have anybody interested in working with Kansas City Life, maybe want to work with agents first, have them go in there and watch this video, guys, and have them join up and be a part of our team. Great carrier, great products. And I love, love, love the return of premium with the mortgage protection. Guys, the fact that you can convert that over to insurance and have all that cash value available to you. No one is doing anything like that. Normally, you get a return of premium on a mortgage protection. You've got insurance for 30 years. You cash in your return of premium, no insurance and nothing else to go with it, right? You're just kind of stuck without insurance. And I love the different opportunities you have with this. So, Mike, I'm going to let you go. I know you got a lot going on. Thanks for being on our call today. We'll let you get cut loose.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mike.
Here.
All right. And guys, so let's just rehash everything, kind of what we talked about. Good training today. You can go ahead and stop the recording